So now I'm going to demo how to make your own baby foods. I get a lot of questions. What type of baby food should I start with? And I really think you have to think about what foods you like. I do really tend to recommend starting with a less starchy, less sweet vegetable. Sometimes if babies are started with a really sweet food like bananas or sweet potatoes, those can lead them to start to prefer some of those really sweet flavors. So I tend to recommend starting with a less sweet thing. So I'm going to show you two different ones today, and they end up turning out quite different when you puree them. As much as possible, I recommend making your own baby foods. If you buy the pre-prepared baby jars, they tend to not taste quite the same as real vegetables, so they often aren't as tasty. And they often don't come in as many varieties. So for example, if you want to get cauliflower, it's pretty hard to find a pureed baby food cauliflower in the store. They also have to add preservatives to make it safe to stay on the shelf, which makes the flavor not quite as much as like the normal flavor. It's really easy, and I'm going to show you that today to make your own. And as you're making your own, I recommend making extra and freezing it. So as you're busy parents, you have easy, ready to go baby food. So I'm going to show you how to do couple different things. First, I'm gonna start with cauliflower. Then now the great thing about cauliflower is it gets really creamy. And so it's a great vegetable for babies. It also is a great vegetable to mix. So if your baby likes a certain thing and not another, this can be a great way to mix it in and make it extra creamy. Some vegetables also are a little bit more watery, and so this can be a great one to add to watery vegetables to thicken them up. So I'm basically gonna take a head of cauliflower, and I'm going to chop it up. Now I'm going to use a baby food maker. You can also use anything else like a steamer or even your microwave. So I'm just going to cut the cauliflower into pretty much uniform sizes. Now it doesn't necessarily matter how big it is, more that they're consistent sizes so that when it cooks, it steams and cooks pretty proportionately. So I'm just going to cut these into some kind of similar sized florets. I definitely think you can use both the stem and the flower part of the vegetable. They both have good nutrition. Now cauliflower, even though it doesn't have as much color, actually the white really still ends up having a lot of nutrition. There also are some really fun cauliflowers. There's purple cauliflower and orange cauliflower. There's also some more bright green ones that are mixed between broccoli and cauliflower. All of those are great and good to try, and they all offer some different nutrition. So I cut this up. I'm gonna go ahead and put it in a baby food maker. Now if you're gonna buy a baby food maker, I really recommend making sure you know what you're getting. This is a baby food maker I like to use because it actually cooks and purees it all in one thing. So I put that in. I already have some water in here, and so I'm just going to put my lid on, and then I just have to push a button, and it's going to actually cook it just the right amount, and then when it's done cooking, it's going to puree it. And so this was great for me when I had young kids because a lot of times I was busy, and so I could go and I had time in the morning to get it ready. I could push a button and then I could go out and do other things, and my food would just be ready when I came back, which was really convenient. So I'm going to do is just put my button here. Now you have to learn the settings and how different vegetables cook. So cauliflower is a pretty hard vegetable and it will take a little bit longer. So in this, I'm kind of had to just do trial and error. I'm going to go ahead and do it for 20 minutes, and then I'm going to go ahead and push start. Okay, so we did our cauliflower, so you can see it's nice and pureed here, so it's going to be a nice, easy texture for a young baby to enjoy. So go ahead and just spoon that out. Now you can just keep these in containers. Couple ways you can freeze it. If you can use an ice tray, and freeze it in little ice cubes. That's kind of usually be a good portion size for a baby. Of course, they also make a lot of fancy baby gear that you can certainly buy baby feeding containers. But if you're gonna make a lot of times it's nice to freeze it so you have it for later. Now I just made this totally just the vegetable. As your baby is getting used to different flavors, you certainly could add things like spices and herbs, and that would be absolutely fine. I usually recommend just starting with a small amount of it. Another great way to involve your baby in this process is cook in front of them and let them smell different spices and different herbs. Let them see you in the kitchen. A lot of times that gets them much more interested in eating when they see that you are interested in it, that you're doing it, and so they can kind of see how it's happening. Okay, so we talked a little bit about how to do some simple purees. Now, as your baby gets older and able to handle some textures, you can start doing chunkier vegetables. And so I'm gonna show you how you can just make a nice steamed vegetable. So I'm just gonna do some broccoli. Broccoli is an amazing vegetable, and it's a great way to get your kids lots of calcium and also lots of vitamin C, as well as fiber and all the other great vitamins that come in a lot of vegetables. So I'm just gonna cut this up into little florets. Now, it's fine to do the stalk as well as the flower part. The stalk actually has a lot of really good fiber in it. So I think that the stalk can be a great way to also get their good nutrition. But I'm gonna kind of put it in really tiny pieces so that your baby would be able to have little pieces. You also could steam it in a bigger piece and then chop it up into smaller pieces later. Either way is fine. So I'm just gonna finally chop this up. And basically I'm gonna cook it so well done that it could almost just kind of dissolve in their mouth. So it's not gonna involve a lot of chewing because the babies, even around 7, 8, 9 months, a lot of times can start taking more textured foods, but they just have to be able to softly mash it with their tongue and the roof of their mouth. So even if they don't have teeth, some babies can start tolerating chunkier pieces of food. So I just chopped that up. I'm gonna put it in just a microwave-proof bowl. So this is just a Pyrex bowl that can easily go in the microwave. I'm just gonna add a little bit of water to it. I'm gonna put on my lid. And you have to kind of learn how your baby likes the texture. So I'm gonna microwave this for longer than I normally would for my own vegetables, but I'd say about 3 minutes so it can get really nicely cooked. This is a pretty small amount, so it's not gonna take that long. Okay, so the broccoli is all done here, and we can make sure if it's the right consistency for your baby to do it. But you can see the little piece, you could even tear this into smaller pieces and either put this on a spoon, or again, if your baby's older, you can let your baby try the pincer bash to try to pick this up and eat it like that. I had pre-cooked some cauliflower here, so you can do the same thing that I did with the broccoli with the cauliflower. So again, little pieces. You may want to even put it in smaller pieces. But you can see I can mash it up here really easily in my hand. You can cook it more or less depending on how your baby likes it. But as your baby gets closer to 9 or 10 months, a lot of times they like to use their fingers, so they get something called the pincer grasp. And little pieces of vegetables are a great way for them to practice it. So they can go like this and pop it in their mouth. So it can be a great snack even. You know, a lot of times we see people doing Cheerios or the Puffs. And again, those are kind of processed foods. And so trying to do things like little pieces of beans or little pieces of soft cooked vegetables or soft fruit. So little pieces of pear, little pieces of cooked apple, little pieces of banana. So any of those types of things can be cut into small pieces so that they can easily pick them up and enjoy them that way. Okay, so we have our cauliflower. We're gonna do another pureed vegetable so you can see how it kind of turns out in a little bit different way. I'm gonna do a zucchini. Now, depending on the season, you know, it's good to try seasonal produce. So if zucchini's in season, it's a great one to do. Zucchini is a very watery vegetable. And so a lot of times you're gonna see that it's gonna come out a little bit more watery than the cauliflower. So again, I'm just gonna chop it. It really doesn't matter how you do it other than you wanna make it pretty uniform. So I'm gonna go ahead and chop this into little pieces here that I'm gonna put into the machine. I'm gonna puree this one as well. So you can see this whole process is really easy. It just involves some brief chopping. I'm gonna go ahead and make it in the same container. I'm not even gonna clean it out because all it is gonna be a little bit of the cauliflower flavor and that's totally fine. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put it in, saves one less step. So a lot of times I like to just make several baby foods at the same time, so I kind of always have them on hand. So I'm just gonna make the zucchini. Zucchini takes a lot less time to cook than cauliflower, and a lot of this you're gonna kind of learn by trial and error. And so I'm gonna go ahead and put my zucchini in here, and I'm gonna do the same setting. I'm gonna do that steam and blend so it all goes together. And this one is gonna take about 10 minutes, so it takes a little bit less time. Okay, so now our zucchini is done. So I'm gonna check it, make sure. The zucchini is quite a bit waterier, so I'm gonna pour that out. It actually comes out really easy. So you can see the zucchini is a little bit more watery than the cauliflower. And so some babies really like things a certain way. And so you can kind of see, you could also mix these two together to make it a little bit thicker. But it's great to try different consistencies and try different things with your babies.